The judges who were sending kids to jail in exchange for cash from a private prison have been ordered to pay more than $200 million to their victims. Wow. Okay. So this story began when you had two judges that made a deal. They made a deal with contractors that were part of building this new private prison. They made a deal with the people who were running the private prison. And the deal was, you give us $3 million, $2.8 million. You give us $2.8 million, and we're going to send you as many people as we can over the years to go into your private prison. Pick it up from there.
Yeah, and it was sometimes children as young as 8 years old. And we're not talking about kids that are out there robbing banks or killing people. We're talking about truancy. We're talking about, oh, we caught you smoking a cigarette at school. You're going to prison because it's putting money in my pocket. And many times in the courtroom, what they would do when they handed down these harsh sentences for these minor offenses, they would immediately take the child. It wouldn't even allow them to say goodbye to their family.
Put them in shackles.
Right, and drag them out of the courtroom. That's the last the parents saw of them until they got out of jail.
4,000 juvenile convictions. Convictions ranging from petty theft, truancy, smoking at school, and being belligerent. These two judges, criminals themselves, how the hell they ever became judges is beyond me, but they're criminals. One is in prison for how long? What's 20-some years? The other guy is...
28 years and 17 years.
17, and the one for 17 years is house arrest. He's not even in prison. He has one of those shock jobs around his ankle. He can't leave, but he's being held prisoner at home because of COVID. That's the way this story reports. The other criminal is in prison. Where, in Kentucky?
In Kentucky, yeah. He's 72, serving a 28-year sentence, so he'll die in jail.
Yeah, let's hope.
He's not coming out of there.
Sooner than later. Sooner than later.
Okay. Yeah, I don't imagine he's getting the best health care in there. And again, this is what these people deserve.
Yeah.
They ruined the lives of these children, psychologically scarred them forever, for the small price of $2.8 million.
Yeah.
That is not a lot of money to sell out 4,000 children.
Saul Wise, a good friend of mine, the lawyer that handled the civil case in this situation, got the $200 million. When he started this, if you listen to what he had to say, he knew this will never be collected. These kids are never going to collect that money. But he understood that this is such an ugly story. If we don't tell it again and again and again, we're faced with a story right down the road here in North Florida that we're talking about, the Boys Ranch that did the same thing. So this is repeating itself all over the country. This is not an isolated story. The popular weed killer Roundup has now been linked to convulsions in animals, and we know the harm it's doing to humans. That's already been established. It's killing human beings. But now it's killing your dogs and your cats, anything you keep out in the yard. Talk about his story a little bit.
Yeah, this is very disturbing, obviously, because what they've started to notice scientists have is all of the earthworms in these areas where Roundup is being sprayed, by the barrel. All these earthworms are suffering convulsions because what it does is it exacerbated convulsions in C. elegans and concluded that a receptor protein called GABA-A was the neurological target. So it gets into the neurological system and causes convulsions. And these same receptors, they're not just in earthworms, they're in human beings too.
You know what's really ugly about it? Is the company's known this for 40 years. The early rat studies that were done showed exactly the mechanism that we're talking about here. It showed they had rat studies. It caused convulsions, it caused death, it caused cancer in rats. They phonied up the studies. They completely phonied them up. They got them to the EPA. The EPA saw that the company had phonied up the studies and allowed it to happen anyway because they said if we don't have Roundup, the world is going to run out of food. Do you remember that pitch?
Yeah.
If we don't have Roundup, the world is going to run out of food.
People also got to understand, you've been through these documents. You're not basing this on what you think. You've seen the documents. You've done the lawsuits here. Like, you know more about this than probably anybody else. And it's so much worse than even what these stories tell because it's not just the cover-up. It's the massive cover up. And right now, even Bayer is saying, because Bayer owns Monsanto that had Roundup, they say, well, that's just worms. This isn't in mammals. Who cares about worms?
Farron, the other argument in the documents when I was taking depositions, the argument was it's only rats, it's only beagles. We can't extrapolate that to human beings. Well, in order to be able to say that, they had to commit fraud.
Yeah.
So the Supreme Court, United States Supreme Court, looked at this and said, can we go forward with this case? When the Supreme Court says yes, this conservative Supreme Court, these folks have done some bad things.